Good morning, this is Jack from Charting the Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Monday, the 14th of April. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing and learn from it, transfer it to your own charts. I'm not here to be trading signals. Now, I've been reading a lot of comments about various places around the web about how we might be starting a new leg up here. That's possible. I think it's unlikely, but it is possible. I think it is kind of a long shot, but it's certainly something I'm bearing in mind. I try to not have any serious preconceptions, and I never get married to any particular scenario, because that way you start looking for evidence for your preferred scenario, and you stop seeing the evidence that is in front of you, which is actually telling you what is more likely to happen. As it is, though, I like this rally set up here, and at the moment that's progressing. I'm expecting to see a higher high over this high here. We could be forming a bear flag. I don't know how long this rally is going to last. Partially, of course, we don't know what the news flow is going to be out of the White House, but I'm thinking we might make it back towards the monthly pivot. Currently at 5748, and maybe higher than that. We will see. If we are going to go higher than that, then getting up to that level could give us a potential level to form an inverted head and shoulders to go higher. And obviously, if that forms, then that can break up and then either head up towards the target and fail. Is it possible that we're going to retest the all-time highs on SPX, on the Qs, on DIA? It is possible. I think it looks like a long shot, but it is possible, and I got to say, at significant highs, SPX really does love its retests. And I've seen some. I'm writing about. I'm referencing a video today where I was talking about a possible high retest on the US dollar, and I was saying I've seen some genuinely wild, almost unbelievable retests over the years, and who knows, this could be one of them. We'll be keeping an eye on it, but really I'm expecting this rally to go for at least another week, and it could go on for another couple of months after that. We will see how it goes. An awful lot of it is just about confidence. So we shall see. All right, in the meantime, we've got a possible double bottom target here at the monthly pivot area at 5748. I'm expecting to make a high over this level here, so get up to the 5520 area, likely higher. If this is a bear flag channel, then I would expect to see a failure shortly after that. But I'm not saying this is a bear flag channel. It's just one of a number of possibilities. NQ, we got a nice looking double bottom again. One of the targets for that is at the monthly pivot, and I'm thinking we may well be heading there next. Again, expecting to see on RTY. RTY, nice looking double bottom here. We just saw a slight break up. I'm slightly more skeptical about this making target. The target's up in about the 2160 area. But I'm quite liking the pattern. It's a nice looking double bottom. We'll see. YM. Nice looking double bottom, again a target near the monthly pivot area. That's a 42598, and I'd quite like to see that make target. None of these need to make target, but I'm really looking for a rally that lasts a couple of weeks. After the damage we were doing on the weekly 3SD lower band, that's what we would normally expect to see, I think. Although I have to say, when the move is this extreme, that tendency became a lot less marked. So we'll see. All right, DAX and STX may be forming bear flags here, keeping an open mind. No obvious double bottoms, really. Maybe one here, but it's not as good as the ones I'm showing on US equities. We will see how it goes from here. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Looking at SPX first, now we've got an obvious target above at the daily middle band. Obviously, the last time we had a rally, it got through that and then basically fell back below it, and that's been holding as resistance. So I'm watching this resistance here. That's currently at 55.17 on SPX, and I'm watching this trend line resistance here, which is currently at about the 56. 15 area, I think. So these are the obvious areas we go up to once we've made a higher high, and I'll be watching both of those carefully. And I'll be watching for any patterns forming from the lows. We haven't got any divergence on the hourly chart. Watching that declining resistance on the 15-minute chart. Could this be a flag? Yes. Would it be a high-quality flag? No, not really. I am watching these two possible inverted head and shoulder necklines. One of them here at 56.95 and the other one here at 57.86. Either of these, well, this would be the better one, because this one really is too disproportionately large relative to the position of the all-time high. But it's something I am considering. And I'll be watching these as they go, and I'll be watching for any support trend lines developing and patterns. All right, on the Qs, We'd already tested the daily middle band, and I'm thinking we get another test there. Very slightly above that, we've got declining resistance, and I'll be watching that too. No divergence on the daily, no divergence on the hourly. Expecting to see a higher high above this rally high, but at that stage I'll be watching fairly carefully for a potential fail, because of course as soon as we do that, we're setting up potential level tops here on the Qs. We're setting up a potential level top here on the so this would be the double top, first high, second high. A little oversized here on SPX, but it could be a double top there, and I'll be keeping an eye on that. Looking at Dyer again, looking at the daily middle band for resistance. We've got a possible resistance trend line here, not as nice as the other two, but I've got that up in about the 419 area. We will see, but at the moment I've not really got enough. It gets better when we make another higher high. I get more to work with, but to be honest, until I've got some highs and lows, I don't really have anything on a pattern basis. It's very difficult to forecast anything, and it's best not to guess. So I tend to wait for things to develop. All right, looking at the IWM chart, nice looking double bottom. This one's going to have the hardest work, I think, making it up there. But apart from anything else, IWM, Russell 2000 tends to be particularly sensitive to interest rate moves, and that's not been encouraging lately. We will see. Looking at the daily chart, if we can make it up a fair amount of way towards that target, I'm looking for a test of the daily middle band at 196.66 and the declining resistance trend line slightly above that. There is no chance really I would retest the all-time highs on IWM. This started the downtrend earlier, partially because of what was happening on interest rates. Looking at DAX, nice rally here. Again, looking for this to go higher, possible test of the daily middle band, although really we're at a different stage on DAX. This started the downtrend a lot later. But I think we're likely to see full participation from foreign indices in this decline if we go further down, which I'm thinking we probably will. USD JPY, we made a lower low here. Good place to see a rally. Could be an overall bull flag forming, although I'm skeptical. We shall see. All right, now just on the dollar, I've been mulling over and starting to write a new series of 3 posts, and the first one's going to be on the dollar, the second one's going to be on US Treasuries, and the third one's going to be on the US dollar status as a reserve currency, how that might change this year, might well change this year, and how a new reserve currency setup might look. With the US dollar playing not no part, but playing a much smaller part within it. So the first one of those is going to be out within a couple of hours. The second one will either be out today or tomorrow. Third one might take an extra day. We'll see. There's a lot of things to talk about now. But those are all going to be on the Bigger Picture Substack, and I'll be posting the links for those as I publish them on Twitter. All right, DX, in the meantime, we've got a 60-minute buy signal fixed. We haven't got down to, well, just to recap quickly on where we are on the dollar. Bear with me a second. Right, this is the pattern which we've just made target on, and this is the rally we were seeing from the middle of 2023, and we had this nice looking megaphone here, and I was talking here a couple of weeks ago about making this target down here. Then we had a target down at this megaphone support in the 100 area, and once that broke, we should see a retest of this low here in the 99.2 area. All of that has happened, and we've seen all of that. On the bigger picture, I'm expecting to get down to this trend line here, which is currently in the 97.5 area. I wasn't expecting to reach it quite this quickly, to be honest, but we are where we are. And then I've got a much bigger target down at this megaphone support in the 96 area. At the moment, this looks like a bull flag forming. And a bull flag obviously will break up towards a retest this high here at 114.78 70% of the time. But I'm considering the possibility, and I'm writing about it in the post that I'm writing at the moment, and we'll be publishing in an hour or two, that we could see something we've seen quite a lot over the last year, and more than a couple of times in the last couple of months. We could see the bull flag break down. These do not always break up. They break down 30% of the time, and potentially this could be the topping pattern that isn't currently obvious on this chart. If so, that would break down towards the target in the 77 area, which, as I'm again pointing out on this post, we spent about half the time in this range between 70 and 90 over the last 38 years since the breakdown here in 1987. So this wouldn't be the apocalypse. It would just be, we've been in the higher part of the range, this very long range here, and we'd just be moving back into the lower part of it. I'll be talking about that in the post. Look out for that. On ZB, I'm going to be doing a post about bonds, US Treasuries, the failure as a flight to safety during this latest market move, what the possible alternatives are, and why people might be selling their Treasuries. So I'm going to be doing a post about that, two posts about that. First one's going to be just talking about the charts mainly. But we've got potential double bottom forming here, but really I've got a target down in the 104, 106 area. I'm expecting that to be made in the next few weeks. We could see, we've seen a nice move down, may well be seeing a rally here. That may well be a bear flag forming. CL, now this is interesting. I drew this in about Thursday, and this is the potential IHS that's forming on CL. If this breaks up, obviously it could just fail and break down again. And I'm thinking bigger picture. The picture is not looking particularly promising for oil prices over the next year. But in the very short term, could we see a decent rally here? Yes. Is this a nice looking IHS? Yes, very actually. And on a sustained break up over resistance, which we're testing this morning, this would have a target in about the 71 area. And we could make that target. Resistance at the monthly pivot is at 69.39. It would be a nice technical target to make, and after that, I'd be leaning towards it heading down again, because I think the world economies will be slowing now. I think the US is likely to go into recession, and this is likely to affect demand. And oil is one of the things that doesn't tend to do well in periods of reducing demand. So watching this carefully, this may well break up. And do I think this target is in potential range? Yes, I do. And quite cool. And it might provide a very nice looking selling opportunity when it got up near target. NG could be bottoming out here. Kind of looks like a flag or a triangle forming. So I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low. But we've still got a nice upside scenario here. It's just less strong because obviously for the same reasons. NG is partially dependent on economic activity as well. And obviously if demand for energy is going down, then that's going to put some downward pressure on NG as well. GC, where am I looking at as potential highs here? I have no trend lines at all. We've gone through them all. And actually, if we do see a move away from the US dollar as a reserve currency, I'm expecting gold to be quite a big beneficiary. And I think that's one of the reasons that gold has got so high. I'm thinking it could have considerably more upside. I'm thinking looking at a bit of a retrace here, but and we're looking at a bit of a rally on the dollar, I think. But after that, I'm excited to see where this might go, but it might be a lot higher. I'm looking at SI. SI has got a more mixed picture here. This is an industrial metal, as is HG. So we're seeing a nice rally here, but the industrial side is likely to put some pressure on this. I would love to see this go a bit higher. In the meantime, I've got a weak 6-minute sell signal fixed. I've got a very steep resistance trend line here that's kind of begging for this to break down to a bit of a retracement before going higher. HG, this could be a double bottom. It's broken up. If so, it would have a target in about the 4.8 area. But bigger picture, I'm not expecting good things to be happening on copper over the next few months. This rally is likely to be one to be sold, but potentially could get us back into the monthly pivot in the 4.98 area. That looks ambitious, though. We shall see. Looking at KC, we've got potential IHS here as well. Is it nice? Yes. Getting towards resistance here. If it breaks a sustained break up over about 361 area, would have a target over this trend line here and might well take us back into a retest of this high here in the 415 area. That's what I'd like to see. That's been building for a while. I've rolled KC and SB and CC and CT into July this weekend. A lot of the others are going to be rolling next weekend. CL and NG likely rolling this week as well. SB, we've got a head and shoulders that's broken down. Pretty much made the target, which is really at a retest this low. We're pretty close to that. So am I thinking we might see a hard breakdown here? Yes, I am. What we're looking at here is actually potentially the the right shoulder on a very large head and shoulder pattern, and I'm watching that to see if it's going to break down. I was talking about that on the bigger picture last night. CC, nice looking double bottom here. Might deliver. Weak 60-minute buy signal has reached the possible near miss target. Wheat, this still could be a bear flag forming, but I'm liking the upside here on corn. We've got a nice looking double bottom, which is broken up with a target in the 513 area, and I think that might well make target. We've got a weak 60-minute sell signal fixed in the short term, though. On soy, I'm very skeptical about this getting much higher. I'm surprised this has rallied so much. I think 50% of American soy gets sent to China, and that's all under a vast tariff at the moment. So I wouldn't have thought much of that is getting sent. I'm expecting, unless there's something I'm missing here, this should be turning down pretty soon. CT, leaning somewhat higher, but I don't really have a strong lean on this. In the short term, this looks like a bullish triangle setting up a retest of this high here in the 68.1 area. Lumber, nice looking double bottom here, but again, the same comments applied to oil and copper. This is very sensitive to economic activity, and particularly Canadian lumber is subject to significant tariffs, I think, at the moment. I'm skeptical about this double bottom making target and almost getting back to a retest of these highs. We shall see. Live cattle, we had a double bottom breakdown. It made target. We've got a possible IHS forming here. I wouldn't be surprised to see this go back up. If we see a sustained break up back over 200, I'm really looking for a retest of this high here in the 208 area. Looking at live cattle, nice looking little double bottom. It's broken up. Targets near the monthly pivot area, and we're getting pretty close to that. This could be part of a larger low, but there's no really solid pattern set up for that. All right, let's have a look at questions. My pleasure as always, Doug. It's anyway, I think I'm expecting to see some more upside. That upside could last for several weeks, but I don't want to assume that. What I'm looking for really is a higher high over this level and a look at getting back into the monthly pivot area of 5748. That's what I'd like to see. And I think there's a decent shot at that happening, although it would help if no major policy changes were announced that might negatively impact the market. Obviously, this is a huge news market at the moment, and we need to be aware of that every day. All right, brilliant. In that case, I think that's a wrap. I will catch you guys again tomorrow, and look out for that post. It'll be coming out in 2 hours.